My brothers and sisters, listen to me carefully. Many people wake up every morning already heavy with anxiety, heavy with fear, heavy with worries that have not even happened yet. And then they ask, why do I feel like this? Let me be very honest with you today. You are waking up into a battlefield without armor. You are stepping into the day without a shield. The believer is not meant to live exposed. Allah did not leave you defenseless. He gave you something powerful, something simple, something neglected. Morning Adhkar. When you abandon them, you open doors you were never meant to open. When you hold on to them, you are protected in ways you will never fully understand. One, protection begins the moment you wake up. Understand this clearly, my brothers and sisters. The day does not start when you step outside your door. It does not start when you open your phone, check messages, or think about work. The day starts the moment your eyes open. That first moment is not neutral. It is not empty. It is either filled with remembrance or left exposed. And what many people do not realize is that the most dangerous moments are the quiet ones, when you are not alert, when your heart is not anchored yet. Shaytaan does not wait for you to be ready. He does not wait for you to leave the house. He does not wait for a big mistake. He starts early. He whispers early. He plants fear early. He plants doubt early. He reminds you of yesterday's pain, tomorrow's worries, and today's responsibilities all at once. And if the heart receives all of this before it remembers Allah, it becomes heavy before the day has even begun. Morning Adhkar are not just beautiful words. They are not something you say only when you feel emotional or spiritual. They are protection activated at the exact moment you need it most. When you remember Allah as soon as you wake up, you are not just speaking, you are positioning yourself. You are placing your heart under divine care before anything else touches it. You are saying, Ya Allah, before the world speaks to me, I choose to speak to you. Think about this. Every day you lock your doors at night because you understand vulnerability. You protect your home when you sleep. But many people wake up and leave their hearts unlocked. Morning Adhkar are the locks of the soul. They seal the heart with remembrance so that not every whisper finds a way in. Without them, fear enters easily. Negativity enters easily. Anger enters easily. And then people wonder why their mornings feel rushed, tense, and unsettled. When you wake up remembering Allah, you are declaring ownership of the day. You are saying, this day does not belong to my worries. It does not belong to my job. It does not belong to people's expectations. It belongs to Allah. And when the day belongs to Allah, it is already protected. Whatever comes after that is not random. It is measured. It is allowed. And it is filled with wisdom, even if you do not see it immediately. Some people think protection means nothing bad will happen. That is not correct. Protection means nothing will break you without purpose. Nothing will harm you without benefit. Nothing will reach you except what Allah allows for growth, purification, or elevation. When Allah protects you, even difficulty becomes a form of mercy. Even hardship carries meaning. But when you walk into the day without remembrance, every small problem feels unbearable and every test feels personal. Morning Adhkar train your heart to trust before it reacts. They teach your soul that you are not alone. They remind you that Allah is watching, listening, and managing every detail of your life. This is why the one who remembers Allah early walks differently through the day. They may face the same problems as others, but their heart is calmer, their reactions are slower, their patience is stronger. That is not coincidence. That is the effect of starting under divine protection. Let me say this honestly. Many people are not tired because of work. They are tired because of exposure. They are exposed emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. They wake up and immediately consume noise, news, complaints, and comparisons. Morning Adhkar act as a filter. They protect your heart from absorbing everything. They give you clarity before chaos. They give you calm before confrontation. They give you strength before responsibility. And do not think this is only for difficult days. Even the best days need protection, because arrogance can enter on good days just as fear enters on bad ones. Morning Adhkar humble you. They remind you that every blessing comes from Allah. They stop you from thinking you achieved everything on your own. They keep your heart balanced, grateful, and aware. Some people say, I don't feel anything when I say Adhkar. Let me tell you something important. Protection does not always feel dramatic. You do not feel the seatbelt during the drive, but you are grateful for it in the accident. Morning Adhkar protect you in ways you may never notice. From sins you did not commit, from arguments you avoided, from decisions you were saved from making, from harm that was diverted without you knowing. Do not wait until life becomes overwhelming to remember Allah. By then you are trying to rebuild while already wounded. Morning Adhkar are preventative medicine. They strengthen you before the test arrives. They prepare your heart before the storm. And when the storm comes, you remain standing because your foundation was set early. So I remind you, do not rush your mornings. Do not wake up and immediately give your heart to the dunya. Give it to Allah first. Even a few moments of sincere remembrance can change the entire direction of your day. When you start with Allah, you walk with Allah. And when Allah is with you, no harm can reach you except what He allows for a wisdom greater than you can imagine. 2. Anxiety comes from forgetting who is in control. Let me speak to you very honestly now. Anxiety is not always caused by problems. Many times anxiety is caused by a misunderstanding about who is in control. When the heart starts believing that everything depends on you, anxiety becomes inevitable. Your chest tightens because you are carrying a weight you were never created to carry. Think about this carefully. If you truly believe that Allah controls every outcome, every delay, every opening, every closure, would you panic the way you do? No. The panic comes when the heart quietly shifts control from Allah to itself. You begin to think, what if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose this? And that what if slowly eats away at your peace. Morning Adhkar correct this mistake before it grows. They realign the heart. They remind you at the very start of the day that you are not the manager of the universe. You are a servant living under the care of the most merciful. When you remember Allah in the morning, you are telling your heart, you do your part, but Allah decides the result. That single understanding removes a huge burden from the soul. Many people wake up and immediately start planning, worrying, replaying conversations, stressing about things they cannot control. Their minds run faster than their faith. Morning Adhkar slow the mind and strengthen the heart. They bring you back to reality, not the reality of bills, deadlines and people, but the greater reality that Allah is watching over you. Anxiety also grows when you forget how small you are and how great Allah is. Without remembrance, the problem looks huge and Allah feels distant. With remembrance, Allah feels close and the problem becomes manageable. This is why two people can face the same situation and react completely differently. One collapses internally, the other remains composed. The difference is not intelligence or strength, it is remembrance. When you repeat words of dhikr in the morning, you are not informing Allah of anything. He already knows. You are reminding yourself. You are reminding your heart that nothing happens randomly. That delays are not punishments by default. That closed doors are sometimes protection. That unanswered prayers are sometimes mercy in disguise. This reminder is what stabilizes the heart. Let me tell you something important. Anxiety often comes from living in the future. Regret comes from living in the past. Peace exists only in the present. Morning Adhkar pull you back into the present with Allah. They stop your heart from time traveling into fears that have not happened yet. They anchor you in trust instead of speculation. And do not think anxiety means weak faith. Even strong believers feel anxious, but strong believers know where to take that anxiety. They do not let it sit and rot inside the chest. They hand it over to Allah through remembrance. They say, Ya Allah, I am worried, but you are in control. And that sentence alone softens the heart. Another truth many people ignore is this. The heart was created to rely. If it does not rely on Allah, it will rely on something else. Money, people, status, routines, plans. And when those things shake, the heart shakes with them. Morning Adhkar redirect reliance back to where it belongs. They remind you that people change, circumstances change, but Allah does not. When anxiety hits later in the day, the one who began with remembrance is already prepared. Their heart has been reminded of Allah's names, Allah's power, Allah's mercy. So when fear tries to enter, it finds resistance. But when the heart has been empty since morning, fear walks in freely and settles comfortably. Let me be very clear. Morning Adhkar, do not erase responsibilities. You still work, you still plan, you still try, but you do all of that knowing that success is not in your hands alone. This balance is what creates peace. Effort without reliance creates anxiety. Reliance without effort creates laziness. Islam teaches both together. And here is something powerful. When you consistently remember Allah in the morning, your heart slowly changes its default response. Instead of panic, it turns to dua. Instead of fear, it turns to trust. Instead of overthinking, it turns to patience. This does not happen overnight, but it happens surely. So if you are someone who wakes up anxious, worried, unsettled, do not just blame your circumstances. Look at how you are starting your day. Are you feeding your heart trust or feeding it fear? Morning adhkar are not a luxury. They are emotional survival. They remind you every single day that no matter what happens, Allah is in control. And that is more than enough for a believing heart. 3. Morning adhkar build an invisible shield. My brothers and sisters, there are dangers you can see and there are dangers you cannot see. There are harms you prepare for and harms you never expect. Most of what affects your life does not announce itself loudly. It slips in quietly. A thought, a feeling, a reaction, a temptation, a sudden change in mood. This is why protection in Islam is not only physical. It is spiritual, emotional and mental. Morning adhkar build an invisible shield around you before anything has a chance to reach your heart. Understand this well. Not every harm is an accident. Not every setback is random. There are whispers that weaken resolve. There are influences that push people toward anger, despair, jealousy or sin. And many of these things come without warning. You do not wake up planning to lose patience. You do not wake up intending to fall into negativity. It happens because the heart was left unguarded. Morning adhkar act like armor. You may not see it, but its effect is real. Just as you cannot see the air yet you depend on it, you cannot see this shield yet you live by it. When you remember Allah early, you are surrounding your day with His protection. You are asking Him to guard your faith, your mind, your actions and your intentions. And Allah answers those who ask sincerely. Many people only seek protection after something goes wrong, after the argument, after the sin, after the regret. But the believer is taught to protect himself before the harm arrives. Morning adhkar are proactive. They stop things before they start. They block doors before they open. They reduce the impact of what was meant to hurt you. Think about how many times you were saved and never realized it. A delayed meeting that avoided an accident. A missed call that prevented an argument. A sudden change of plan that protected you from harm. You may never know how many times Allah intervened on your behalf. Morning adhkar increase these unseen protections. Not because Allah needs reminding, but because you need to place yourself under His care. There is also another kind of harm people underestimate, internal harm. The harm of anger that stays all day. The harm of jealousy that poisons the heart. The harm of hopeless thoughts that drain motivation. Morning adhkar protect you from these inner attacks. They purify the heart before it becomes polluted. They soften the soul before it hardens. Some people say, I don't feel different after adhkar. Let me tell you something important. Protection is not always felt immediately. You do not feel medicine working the moment you swallow it, but it works nonetheless. You do not feel the walls protecting your home, but you trust they are there. Morning adhkar works silently. Their effect shows in how you react, how you speak, how you recover, and how quickly you return to Allah after a mistake. Without this shield, small problems feel big. Minor issues ruin the whole day. One comment destroys your mood. One delay triggers frustration. But with this shield, the same problems exist, yet they do not dominate you. They pass through your day without taking over your heart. That is protection. Let me be very clear here. Shaytaan does not always come to destroy. Sometimes he comes to distract. Sometimes he comes to delay. Sometimes he comes to make you forget what matters. Morning adhkar weaken his influence. They remind him that this servant has placed his trust in Allah from the very beginning of the day. And when Shaytaan sees a heart connected to Allah, he retreats. There is also protection from sins you never planned to commit. Many sins happen not because people want them, but because they were tired, stressed, emotional, or careless. Morning adhkar strengthen your awareness. They increase mindfulness. They remind you that Allah is watching even when no one else is. That awareness alone saves people from countless mistakes. And do not think this shield only protects you. It affects those around you too. A calm heart creates a calm environment. A protected soul spreads safety. When you begin the day with remembrance, your words become gentler, your patience increases, and your presence becomes easier to deal with. This is how adhkar protect your relationships as well. Another important point is this: life is unpredictable. You do not know what the day holds. You do not know who you will meet, what news you will receive, or what test is waiting. Morning adhkar prepare you for the unknown. They say, Ya Allah, whatever comes today, I trust you with it. And that trust becomes a shield against shock and despair. Do not underestimate the power of consistency here. A shield used once in a while is weak. A shield used daily becomes strong. When morning adhkar become a habit, the heart becomes trained. It no longer panics easily. It no longer collapses quickly. It becomes resilient. That resilience is not arrogance. It is reliance on Allah. So I remind you, do not walk into the world unprotected. Do not face unseen dangers with an exposed heart. Morning adhkar are not just words on the tongue. They are safety for the soul. They are calm for the mind. They are strength for the believer. When you remember Allah early, you are wrapped in His care for the rest of the day. And there is no shield stronger than that. 4. Consistency matters more than length. Let me address a mistake many sincere people make. They think strength in worship comes from doing a lot all at once. They believe that if they cannot do everything perfectly, they might as well do nothing. This way of thinking is not from wisdom. It is one of the quiet tricks that pushes people away from consistency. In reality, what transforms the heart is not how long you remember Allah once in a while, but how often you remember Him every single day. Morning adhkar were never meant to be a burden. They were meant to be a foundation. A small set of words repeated daily with sincerity builds more protection than long sessions done only when you feel motivated. Allah does not look at quantity the way people do. Allah looks at sincerity, regularity, and presence of heart. A few minutes every morning can change the entire direction of your life if they are done consistently. Many people say, I don't have time. Let me be very honest with you. Time is not the issue. Priority is. People always find time for what they value. They find time to scroll. They find time to talk. They find time to worry. But when it comes to remembrance, suddenly the morning feels rushed. This is not because mornings are short. It is because remembrance has not been made non-negotiable. Consistency also trains the soul. When you remember Allah daily, your heart begins to expect that connection. Just like the body feels weak without food, the heart feels unsettled without remembrance. But this only happens when you are consistent. Sporadic worship does not train the heart. Regular worship disciplines it. It builds spiritual muscle. Another important point is this: consistency protects you even on bad days. There will be mornings when you feel tired, distracted, or emotionally low. On those days, long sessions may feel impossible, but consistency allows you to still show up. Even if your voice is quiet, even if your focus is not perfect, you still remember Allah. And that alone keeps the connection alive. Shaytaan loves extremes. He either wants you to do nothing or to exhaust yourself quickly. He whispers, do more, until you burn out. Or he whispers, you are already behind, what is the point? Consistency defeats both tricks. It keeps you steady, it keeps you balanced, it keeps worship sustainable. Morning adhkar also benefit from routine. When they are tied to a specific time, such as after Fajr, they become easier to maintain. You do not need motivation when something becomes habit, you simply do it. And habits shape lives far more than motivation ever will. There is also mercy in consistency. Allah loves the servant who keeps coming back even with small deeds. This teaches humility. It teaches patience. It teaches long-term commitment instead of short bursts of emotion. And over time, those small daily moments accumulate into something powerful. Do not underestimate this. A few minutes of remembrance every morning over years will protect you, soften you, and elevate you more than occasional long sessions that come and go. The heart responds to reliability. When it knows Allah is remembered daily, it feels safe. So do not delay morning adhkar waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect setting or extra time. Start small, be regular, guard that moment. Because what Allah loves most is not the biggest action, but the one you do sincerely and consistently. 5. Morning adhkar shape the way you react. Let me tell you something very important. Life is not defined by what happens to you. It is defined by how you respond to what happens. Many people focus on changing their circumstances, but they ignore the state of their hearts. And that is why the same situations keep breaking them. Morning adhkar do not change the world around you, but they change the world inside you. And once the inside changes, everything else follows. When you begin your day with remembrance, you are training your heart before the tests arrive. You are not waiting to react emotionally when something goes wrong. You are preparing your soul to respond wisely. This is why the believer who remembers Allah early is slower to anger, calmer under pressure, and more patient in difficulty. It is not because they are naturally calm. It is because their heart has been anchored. Think about how many reactions in your life you regret. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in haste, responses driven by ego or fear. Most of these did not come from bad intentions. They came from an unprepared heart. Morning adhkar strengthen the heart before it is challenged. They give you a pause between what happens and how you respond. And that pause is where wisdom lives. Without remembrance, reactions become automatic. Someone says something and you react. Something goes wrong and you panic. A delay happens and you complain. The heart that has not been fed remembrance reacts from emotion, not faith. But the heart that has been nourished in the morning remembers Allah before reacting to people. Morning adhkar remind you that Allah is watching every reaction, not just every action. How you speak, how you respond, how you restrain yourself. This awareness changes behavior. You become more careful with your words, more thoughtful with your tone, more patient with others. This is not weakness, this is strength under control. Another powerful effect of morning adhkar is emotional regulation. They calm the heart before it becomes overstimulated. They reduce the intensity of reactions. You may still feel upset, but you do not explode. You may still feel hurt, but you do not lose control. You may still feel pressure, but you do not collapse. This emotional stability is a gift that comes from remembrance. And understand this clearly, the most dangerous reactions are not always loud. Sometimes they are silent, resentment, bitterness, holding grudges. These things grow when the heart is left unchecked. Morning adhkar clean the heart daily. They remove the buildup of negative emotions before they harden into character traits. There is also a deep connection between remembrance and patience. Patience is not passive, it is controlled response. Morning adhkar strengthen patience by reminding you that Allah is aware, Allah is just, and Allah will compensate. When you believe this deeply, you do not rush to defend your ego or prove your worth. You trust Allah to handle what you leave for His sake. Many people ask, why do I keep reacting the same way? The answer is simple. You keep feeding your heart the same things: news, noise, complaints, stress. Morning adhkar change the diet of the heart. They feed it trust, calm, and awareness of Allah. Over time, this changes your default reactions. And here is something subtle but powerful. When your reactions improve, your relationships improve. People feel safer around you. Conflicts reduce. Communication becomes easier. This is not coincidence. A heart that remembers Allah brings peace wherever it goes. So do not underestimate the importance of how you start your day. If you start rushed, distracted, and disconnected, you will react from that place all day. But if you start with Allah, your reactions will carry His remembrance within them. And that is how a believer navigates life with dignity, patience, and inner strength. 6. Rizq and barakah are tied to remembrance. Let me correct a misunderstanding that many people carry silently in their hearts. Rizq is not just money. If rizq were only money, then the richest people would be the most peaceful, the most grateful, and the most fulfilled. But we see the opposite every day. Rizq is everything that sustains you. Peace of mind is rizq. A calm heart is rizq. Good decisions are rizq. Protection from regret is rizq. And barakah is what makes that rizq enough. Many people chase provision but neglect the source of barakah. They work harder, longer, and faster, yet they feel empty, restless, and dissatisfied. Why? Because they are trying to increase results without strengthening the foundation. Morning Adhkar invite barakah into your life before you begin earning, speaking, or acting. They align your efforts with Allah's permission. Understand this clearly. Two people can earn the same amount, work the same hours, and live similar lives. One feels constantly stressed and dissatisfied. The other feels content and grateful. The difference is not income. It is barakah. And barakah does not come from effort alone. It comes from remembrance, gratitude, and reliance on Allah. When you remember Allah in the morning, you are acknowledging where provision truly comes from. You are saying, Ya Allah, whatever reaches me today is from you. This belief changes how you work. You stop panicking. You stop cutting corners. You stop measuring your worth by outcomes. You do your part honestly and leave the rest to Allah. Morning Adhkar also protect your rizq from being drained emotionally. Many people earn well but lose their peace through constant worry, comparison, and dissatisfaction. Barakah keeps the heart satisfied even when things are simple. It allows you to enjoy what you have instead of always chasing what you lack. Another powerful effect of remembrance is clarity. Many bad financial and life decisions are made in emotional states. Fear, greed, desperation. Morning Adhkar stabilize the heart, which leads to better judgment. You become less impulsive. You think long term. You act with wisdom. That clarity itself is a form of provision. There is also protection in remembrance. How many people earn money only to lose it through illness, conflict, or regret? Morning Adhkar ask Allah to protect what you have, not just give you more. Sometimes Allah shows mercy not by increasing your wealth, but by protecting you from losses you never saw coming. And do not forget time. Time is one of the greatest forms of rizq. Many people complain that there is never enough time, yet they waste it without realizing. Barakah in time allows you to do more with less. You feel productive without being exhausted. You feel fulfilled without being rushed. This is a gift from Allah, and it comes through remembrance. Morning Adhkar also cleanse your intention. They remind you why you work, why you strive, and who you are doing it for. When intention is clean, effort becomes worship. Even your work becomes a source of reward. This transforms ordinary life into something meaningful. Let me be very clear. Remembrance does not replace effort. Islam does not teach laziness. You still work, you still plan, you still strive. But remembrance ensures that your effort is supported by divine help, not driven by fear. Effort without remembrance creates burnout. Effort with remembrance creates balance. And here is something many people ignore. Barakah also protects relationships. Provision is not just individual. It affects families, marriages, and children. A heart that remembers Allah brings stability into the home. That stability is priceless. So if you want more than just money, if you want peace, clarity, and contentment, guard your morning adhkar. Start your day by remembering the one who provides. When Allah places barakah in your life, what you have becomes enough. What you do becomes meaningful, and what you face becomes manageable. 7. Never leave your home spiritually empty. Let me end with something firm and practical, because this lesson ties everything together. You would never leave your house without clothes. You would never leave without checking if the door is locked. Many of you would feel uncomfortable leaving without your phone. Yet every single day, countless believers leave their homes spiritually empty. No remembrance, no protection, no connection. And then they wonder why the world feels heavy, aggressive, and overwhelming. Understand this clearly. Your heart is what you take into the world. Wherever you go, your heart goes with you. If it is empty, everything fills it. If it is connected to Allah, very little can disturb it. Morning adhkar are what fill the heart before it faces people, problems and pressures. The world outside your home is not gentle. It demands, it tests, it distracts, it provokes. If you walk into it without remembrance, you are spiritually underdressed. Every comment affects you. Every delay frustrates you. Every inconvenience feels personal. But when you leave your home after remembering Allah, you carry calm with you. You carry perspective. You carry restraint. There is something powerful about stepping outside knowing you have already placed yourself under Allah's care. You are no longer desperate for validation from people. You are no longer terrified of outcomes. You have already surrendered the day to Allah. This gives you confidence without arrogance and humility without weakness. Morning adhkar also protect your intentions as you leave your home. Many sins happen not because people are evil, but because intentions drift. One look turns into many. One word becomes careless. One moment becomes regret. Remembrance keeps you aware. It reminds you that Allah sees you wherever you go. That awareness alone saves people from countless mistakes. Do not think this is only for big temptations. Even small daily interactions matter. How you speak to people, how you react to stress, how you handle pressure. When you leave home spiritually empty, these moments drain you. When you leave home with remembrance, they refine you. Another important point is this: your home itself feels different when it becomes a place of remembrance. Children notice, spouses feel it, peace settles in ways you cannot explain. Morning adhkar do not just prepare you for the world, they bless the space you leave behind. And here is a reality many ignore. You do not know if you will return home the same way you left. Every departure is uncertain. Morning adhkar prepare you not only for the day, but for whatever Allah decrees. They remind you to live consciously, humbly and purposefully. Some people rely on routines, habits and discipline alone. Those are good, but they are not enough. Routines break, plans fail, discipline weakens. Remembrance connects you to something that does not fail. Allah does not fail His servants. So make this a rule in your life. Do not leave your home without remembering Allah. Even if it is brief, even if it is quiet, even if no one else notices, because Allah notices. And when Allah is with you, the world loses its power to overwhelm you. Protect your mornings. Fill your heart before you face the world, and you will walk through life with a calm that cannot be shaken, because it does not come from circumstances, it comes from Allah. My brothers and sisters, understand this deeply. The strength of your day is decided before the day even unfolds. If you begin with Allah, you walk with Allah. If you forget Him at the start, you spend the day trying to catch up spiritually while the world keeps pulling you away. Morning adhkar are not extra, they are essential. They are your protection when you are weak, your calm when life becomes noisy, and your anchor when emotions rise. They do not remove every difficulty, but they give you the strength to face whatever Allah allows to come your way. Do not wait for fear to remind you to remember Allah. Remember Him before fear arrives. Do not wait for anxiety to push you toward dua. Make dua your foundation every morning. What you protect in the early hours, Allah protects throughout the day. Make a sincere intention from today. Guard your mornings. Even a few moments of remembrance done daily can change your heart, your reactions and your entire life. And when Allah places His protection over you, no harm can reach you except with wisdom, mercy and purpose. May Allah make us among those who remember Him in the morning and evening, those whose hearts are at peace, whose days are protected and whose lives are filled with barakah.